Welcome back, everyone. Today I have another dream analysis video for you guys. I'm going to be breaking down 4 of my own dreams. These are apocalyptic visions I've had. Now when I say visions, it's because I've had them in daydreams and I've had them in like sleeping dreams, and they're reoccurring. They've happened a couple times to me and they've haunted me. They are apocalyptic in nature. So my goal with this video is to A, help myself understand these dreams a little bit better, and to B, hopefully give you guys some sort of reference point for analyzing your own dreams. And I want to motivate you guys to go out there and dig into your own dreams, because they are gold mines worth of knowledge if you do it properly. We can talk about how to properly analyze dreams and whether or not you can actually do that in another episode. Today, I'm going to give you guys just my interpretation of these 4 dreams that I've had, and they are a little bit darker. So what I've done for these dreams and what I will do for my future dream analysis videos is I've chatted with ChatGPT and gotten it to recreate some of these dreams and images for you guys that I'll put up on screen as I'm talking about them. Now, I found ChatGPT to not just be a useful tool for, generating the images that I see in my dreams, but for also analyzing these dreams. I can tell it to pretend to be Freud or Jung or a certain psychologist or philosopher, and to analyze my dreams and to break it down for me. And I actually find a lot of wisdom from doing that. So that's just one way that it's helped me. I'm using ChatGPT 4 right now, and it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But let's get into the dreams today. So, quickly before I get into the main 4 dreams, I want to paint a picture for you guys of kind of the lobby area that I sometimes enter before these apocalyptic dreams. Now, what do I mean by lobby area? Well, there seems to be like a prelude dream that happens before my apocalyptic visions. It doesn't always happen, but it happens often enough that I want to, paint it out for you guys. So, before I dive into an apocalyptic dream where I see absolutely horrible things, I'm often in an ocean, and it's a big, huge ocean, vast in every direction, infinite in every direction. I can't see any land, and it's even hard to tell which way's up and which way's down, because it's usually dark and very rainy, kind of, dark and moody weather. And I find myself diving into the ocean, and many of you may experience this when you're in dreams. You can either run, swim, or fly super fast, almost like you're in creative mode in Minecraft. Kind of feels like that. So when I'm swimming like super fast. And not only am I swimming fast, I can breathe underwater. Like, breathing's not a problem. So I've had dreams where I felt like I'm drowning. So it's not that I'm like always in that mode where I'm swimming fast and can always breathe. I've had horrible dreams with water before, but in these particular instances, I have this kind of like infinite range in the water. Except the further down I go, the darker and darker it gets. And I'm somebody who does have thalassophobia. Hopefully I'm saying that right. The fear of deep waters. When I watch a Titanic documentary, I get pretty freaked out just seeing those shipwrecks underwater. I'm sure a lot of you guys relate to that. But anyways, I dive deeper and deeper, and it gets darker and darker. And then I come upon this hole. Now, this hole, I'll put some images on the screen now. It's very weird because it's in the bottom of the ocean, and it seems to be going somewhere, like it's going into the underworld, or it's going into the unconscious, into the chaos, right? It's a symbol for that. I know that much. But it's weird because it has all these tentacles that are coming out of it. And they look like seaweed or hair, or I can't exactly tell, but they're these dark tentacles that pop out. They kind of look like this one episode of Rick and Morty, one of my favorite TV shows. The episode I think it's called The Hole, in the most recent season. It's one of my favorite episodes, but they go into this hole, and it's very similar to the dreams that I've had, where these kind of like tentacles are kind of coming out of it. And what I read from that is like, that's you being sucked into the depths, the tentacles that wrap around you and draw you into the unconscious, into the chaos, into the dream realm. And then once I go into that hole, then we get into the first dream, which I'll lay out for you guys here. So the first dream that I want to recount is the infinity dock dream. Now, this dream is very weird. So I start on a dock. It's an infinite dock, so it feels like a bridge, but it's like weaving in different directions. It's kind of got like a snake-like pattern to it, and it's going through this ocean. I can't see where the dock ends. It seems like it goes on forever, but I'm standing on this dock in an infinite ocean. Now, the water is still. It's absolutely still, and it goes on for infinity. It also seems to only be about 4 or 5 feet deep. the whole way. So it doesn't get deeper the farther you go out, which is also kind of eerie. But as I'm walking on this dock, I'm coming across these couples of people. They're always in pairs of two, and they're all about 5 feet apart. So each couple has no idea that there's any couple standing next to them. They all seem to be having their isolated conversations, and they don't even notice that I'm there. So I'm walking past all these couples and like listening into their conversations, and nobody notices that I'm there. Again, that's pretty eerie, but as I'm walking through these couples, I'm noticing that all of them are confessing something. They're either confessing to a betrayal or, something that they did that they feel horrible about. Like they're all confessing, and they're all in horrible states. They're crying, screaming. Some of them are hitting each other, and it's horrible. It feels horrible because you're walking through, and this person's confessing to cheating for like 10 years, and this person's confessing to like killing the other person's parent, and it just gets worse and worse. And I don't want to describe each one because they do get quite gruesome, but I'm going through all these couples confessing just the most horrible things they ever did to the people that they love the most. And it's heartbreaking. I've had this dream several times where it's like I almost wake up crying because I'm just like emotionally invested in all these stories. But as I'm walking through, I kind of get the idea to look into the water, look over the dock. And this is where the shocking imagery happens. I see all of these faces of people who look to me to be dead, but they have life in their face. They're all like screaming. They're all like in shock. They all have distorted, horrible looking faces. And it reminds me a lot of that scene in Lord of the Rings. I think it's the second or third movie when Frodo's in the marshes and he looks into the marshes and he sees the faces of all the dead kings and he gets lost in them, and then he kind of falls into the marshes, and then Gollum has to pull him out. It's very, very similar to that. Obviously, there's no weeds and marshes in my vision. It's all clear water. But as I'm looking down into these shocked, horrified faces, seeing all the agony on their faces, I realized that these are the people who didn't confess. These are the people who never got a chance, or just never got around to it, or just refused to confess their deepest betrayals to the people who they loved the most during their lives. So they're suffering. Maybe this is a vision of the afterlife and I'm seeing them suffering in the afterlife, but they're in horrible pain because they're not on the dock making the confessions. And even though when I'm walking through the dock, I think that those people are in a horrible situation, they're actually in the best possible situation because they're solving the issue. They're coming to a conclusion. They're bridging the gap and making that confession and trying to, mend that relationship. So here would be my kind of analysis, I guess, of the dream. One would be, obviously, the people underwater are plagued with their guilty conscience of not having admitted their wrongs during their lifetime. So the lesson I get from that is you have to face a small horror on Earth to avoid an endless horror in hell or in the afterlife. So even though confessing to something that you did that is horribly wrong, maybe you could even go to jail for it, confessing that to the person that needs that confession. They might be a loved one. They might be somebody who you hate. It doesn't always have to be a loved one, but confessing that to that person and coming clean and being honest and trying to mend that relationship and build that bridge back, that is, as hard as that is, as difficult as it is, it's much, much better than what you're going to face in the afterlife when you realize that you had every opportunity to fix that and you never did. So that's kind of what I get from that dream. Let's move on to the next one. So this next one is quite graphic, so I'm going to be careful on how much I reveal and how much I explain, and I won't be able to use as many images for this one, so I apologize. But this is a very, very terrifying image. So in this dream, I come upon this mountain of red goo. You could see it as blood, but it's goo. It's thick. And as I get closer to this massive mountain, I see all of these faces, all of these limbs of animals. They're all dismembered. So there's like hooves of horses and heads of elephants and legs of giraffes, and they're all kind of meshed together in this mountain. And it's a horrifying image. Like, to see that in a dream is horrifying. And I can also, this is very rare to actually happen in a dream, but I could smell it too. The smell is just putrid. And as I get closer, I'm hearing it. And as the sound gets louder and louder and louder, it gets more and more horrifying. But basically, I'm hearing the sounds of every single animal on the planet screaming out in its most agonizing call all at once. And it's making this noise that's just absolutely unbearable. So as I'm getting closer to this mountain, I'm just seeing it in more detail. I'm hearing it in more detail. and I'm smelling it in more detail. I'm just feeling everything that these animals are feeling all at once. Now that's pretty gruesome and horrible, and it might not seem like there's really anything there to analyze, but I do have some ideas on what this might mean. So my analysis for this dream is that the endless mount of suffering animals represents factory farming and the horrible systems that torture and kill animals inhumanely. That's what I think I'm getting from this. So obviously myself, like most of us, we eat food that has been factory farmed. You know, if you go to McDonald's, if you go to any fast food place, you know, even if you buy your meat from Walmart or the local grocery store, you're probably eating food or meat that's you know, from factory farm killed animals. And that's, if you've ever watched a documentary like Cowspiracy or Dominion or any of those other, you know, horrible documentaries that kind of go into the details of factory farming, you know the horrors, and it does turn a lot of people vegan. You know, my uncle actually went vegan, I think large part because of that, just how horrible the systems are. Now my urge myself, I can't go vegan. I've tried. I need meat. I feel horribly sick when I don't have meat. So my urge for myself after experiencing this horrible dream is to eventually hunt for myself one day. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it's the most sustainable way to do it. You hunt once or twice a year and you get your whole meat for the entire year. Like, it's very sustainable, very efficient. But also, because of my experience with this dream, I have this urge to experience with the animal the pain or just the emotions that come with killing it, with taking it out of the world. Obviously, you want to do it in the most humane way as possible, right? Shoot them right through the heart, make sure it's a clean kill, all that stuff that comes with hunting. But for me, I want to have that relationship of having taken that life and having that, I guess, moral weight on my own shoulders, rather than passing it off to somebody else and not having to think about it because my meat was factory farmed and all the horrible stuff happened way over there. And I didn't have to gut the animal. I didn't have to prepare the meat. None of that was done by me. You know, all that horrible stuff, including killing the animal, was done somewhere else. I'd rather not push that away. Now, I can't right now. I can't really afford to go hunting right now in my life, but that's somewhere where I want to get to because I want to have that weight on my own shoulders, not thousands of miles away. I hope that makes some sense, but this dream has pushed me, or at least given me the urge to eventually hunt for my own meat one day because I've had this vision. And this vision, on top of, like I said, all those documentaries that I've watched about factory farming, just, it's endless suffering that doesn't, or needless suffering that doesn't really need to happen. So I apologize for such a dark, gruesome dream. Let's move on to the next one. Hopefully it's not as bad. Yes, the Infinity Room. Similar to the Infinity Dock, but different and in quite a few ways. I'll have some much cooler images to show you guys for this one. ChatGPT did a pretty decent job at recreating what I was envisioning. So my Infinity Room dream is probably the most basic one that I'll talk about today. Basically, I'm in a Winchester house. So if you guys know the famous Winchester house, I believe it's in San Francisco or somewhere in California, but it's basically a house that was made by a lady who went a little bit insane. She inherited the Winchester fortune from, I believe, her deceased husband. And then she, like I said, she went a little bit insane. She started building rooms that didn't make any sense, that didn't go anywhere. She tried to make a maze of a house to, like, confuse the spirits that she thought was living with her. She thought that ghosts were in her house, the ghosts of her, you know, dead spouse and other ghosts. So she wanted to confuse them by making trapdoors that lead nowhere and staircases that lead into walls and all sorts of stuff that doesn't make any sense. And I have a dream just like that, where I'm in a house like that. And I don't know how much of this dream is influenced from me, like watching the Winchester movie and reading the book about the house and doing research on the whole Winchester estate. I don't know how much of that influenced my dream, but I think it's fairly common to be trapped in an infinite maze, especially of rooms and stuff, because most of us, I shouldn't say all, but most of us live in houses. So yeah, there's this endless staircases, endless rooms. It goes on for infinity. You know, there's false windows, false spiraling hallways, and stairwells that don't go anywhere. And it feels like it never ends. And this dream is sometimes fun. because, you know, I'm running through a house that's an endless maze, so I'm opening doors, and it's kind of fun to run through something like that, but after a while, there's like an eeriness that sets in that like you're never going to escape. And it's that part of the dream that gets not apocalyptic, but, you know, horrifying, because it starts as fun and then it becomes, oh wait, I'm never going to get out of this place. But there's a little bit more to that I'm going to analyze here. So, as I just said, Miss Winchester went a little bit crazy, but it was a specific type of crazy. She overindulged in order. She made things too ordered, if that makes any sense. And that too much of order became chaos. Now, I recently talked about that in Alice in Wonderland towards the end of the video, how the Red Queen is too much order, too much control, too much manipulation, too much tyranny, to the point where everything just becomes chaos. You know, too much order can lead you into chaos, that kind of idea. I think that that's played out here because, you know, Miss Winchester, too much order, building too many rooms, making it too complicated, made a house that's just unnavigable and just chaos and complicated, right? So something that happened in my own life that's very, very similar to that is my dad. When I was young, my dad had OCD, pretty serious OCD. I have it to a degree, but he had it like I think it was like I think he had OCD kind of as a traumatic reaction to his childhood. He had a childhood where he didn't have a lot of control over his life. So when he eventually did, you know, move out, get on his own, had his own family, he had to control every little thing. And, you know, I've had problems with my dad in a lot of situations because of that. But here is one specific instance that I remember very vividly as a child that always stuck with me. So my dad, he would rearrange papers or pens on the island or by the back door in a specific way so they're all lined up straight vertically, right? So everything's straight vertically. And you can kind of understand why that would make sense. You want things in order in your life. But then he would come back, sometimes the same week, sometimes the same day, sometimes just a couple hours later, and he would flip them and reorganize them horizontally. And it was like, it didn't make any sense. He was ordering things again, but he didn't even know why he was ordering them. He just had, you know, OCD. He had an uncontrollable impulse to just order things. And that was so interesting to me. And it was later in my life that I realized that, oh, this is that over-order state. Too much order, too much control over something in your life. You make it worse. You make it almost chaotic in a way, like I was saying. And I think that that's, you know, not to bring this up again, but I think that's exactly what happened in Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. I think that's exactly what happened. There was too much tyranny, too much control over the people, and then everything at the bottom just became chaos, you know. So that's kind of my analysis of what the Infinity Rooms and the Winchester house kind of means to me. It's this state of over-order to the point where it just becomes chaotic. So let's move on to the final dream. So this last dream is definitely the most horrifying to experience. It's probably the one I've actually experienced the most, probably tied with the Infinity Rooms dream, the one that I just covered. I've had that one quite a bit as well. But this one I titled The Zombie Hospital because I'm in basically this really white hospital. It looks like there's surgery rooms all around me. And it's very, very similar to the basement level in Black Ops Zombies 5. So if you guys have played Black Ops Zombies, the original Black Ops Zombies, the map 5, kind of in the Pentagon, there's this basement level where you're running away from a zombie that's chasing after you that's a little bit faster than you, if I remember the game correctly, and he steals all your stuff. Like, all your weapons get taken away, and it's actually quite terrifying to play that. 5 is one of the most horrifying, you know, gaming maps I think ever, at least in my opinion. But it's very similar to that, as I'm in this horrifying hospital where everything's broken down and decayed. There's like blood on the walls and mud everywhere, and the fluorescent lights are kind of broken and hanging down, and I'm getting chased by this zombie. And in the distance, he seems really, really small, like he's far, far away. And then he's getting closer and closer and closer. And I run from him, but he's too fast. He's faster than me. And that's horrifying. To be in a dream where your enemy is faster than you, it's kind of like those, you know, this is kind of a silly reference, but recently there's been those memes where there's some sort of image. Sometimes it's LeBron James. Sometimes it's usually pretty random. It's brain rot memes where he's like chasing somebody in like a really like low res version of a map, and the person's running away, but the image chasing them is faster, so they got to move around and pull tricks and do U-turns and deke them out. That's kind of how I felt in the dream. I had to like do dekes and like hide behind a wall and wait for him to run by and then run the other way, and it's terrifying. Like, that's terrifying to think that that's like, when you're in the dream, you think that that's real, and it's so scary. But here's what I think the dream means. So my analysis would be that when you let an area in your life that's supposed to be ordered, that's supposed to be organized, that's supposed to be clean and pristine and in perfect shape, like a hospital, like a surgery room, right? If there's one area in all of our lives that we want to be clean, organized, and absolutely pristine, it would be a hospital, because that's where your life is on the line. When you let an area in your life that needs to be that pristine erode and turn into a chaotic state, like it was in my dream, you know, with the fluorescent lights hanging down and blood on the walls and everything's dirty and pushed over and stuff, kind of like in the map 5. When you let an area in your life get to that state, sometimes the demon, you know, Satan, or the demon in your life, becomes too fast. Now it can catch you because you've let the state get in too much disorder. So what I mean by that is, like, say your body. Let's take your body, for example. If you let your body get, you know, out of control, you eat horrible food every day, you never work out, eventually you're going to get to a place where you're so overweight, it's like the devil is too fast for you. It's like you can't lose the weight fast enough. It becomes very, very hard. Now, luckily, I've never had to deal with that. I've always been in shape. I think that's largely due to my parents and how much sports they put me in, and they always cooked for me. We never really ate out, so I'm very grateful for that. But for a lot of people, I know it's incredibly, incredibly difficult to lose weight because they've just gotten to a point where it's too bad. And to give you another example is your spiritual state, right? If you neglect your spiritual state and you don't develop yourself spiritually, and you don't develop a moral compass and, you know, virtues, you're going to be weak, and you're going to have weak morals, and you're going to get corrupted and pushed over in your life, and then your life's going to turn into chaos very quickly, and it's going to be very, very hard to fix it and to solve it, and it's going to feel like the demons are outrunning you. So I think that that's what this dream is symbolizing for me. It's telling me to not let the areas in my life that are most important get in too much of a disorganized or chaotic state, because life and death is on the line, and if it devolves into too much of a chaotic state, the devil is going to gain too much speed, and you're not going to be able to outrun him. So that's kind of my analysis of the zombie hospital dream. I know that that's pretty silly title, but so yeah, those are the 4 dreams that I wanted to cover today. I know that they weren't all apocalyptic, but I think they were. I think how I meant to use the word apocalyptic in the beginning of this video and in the title is that there's an element of infinity to all these dreams. And when there's an element of infinity to a dream that's horror, you know, horrific in its nature, it kind of amplifies it to an apocalyptic degree. So, you know, the infinity rooms, the infinity dock, the hospital being somewhat infinite, and the mountain of animals being somewhat infinite, there's that element of infinity that just amplifies these horrible dreams to a level that feels apocalyptic. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was, you know, entertaining, if not educational. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more videos like this, if you guys want me to do more dream analysis videos. If you guys want me to analyze your dreams, I am willing to do that. You guys can leave me comments. Just be careful. Make sure you have kind of an anonymous name, or just be careful of what dreams you share, because they do say more about you than you probably realize. I'm being a little bit, I wouldn't call it brave, but I'm being a little bit brave and sharing my dreams so openly with you guys. But I do want to encourage you guys to go out there and analyze your own dreams. But if you guys want some help with that, and you guys want me to do it, I would gladly analyze your dreams for you guys. If you guys want to send me an email, I can also set that up so that you guys can do it a little bit more anonymously. Obviously, I'll never read off any names doing that, because, you know, dreams are weird. They say a lot about you that you that sometimes you don't, I wouldn't say intend, but you don't realize at first. And they can be tough to crack as well. Not everybody is, I wouldn't say capable of analyzing their own dreams. I think anybody could, but to do it efficiently definitely takes some practice. And not everybody dreams vividly every night. I'm actually pretty blessed with how visionary my mind works and how often I dream vivid dreams. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, as we've kind of seen with this video. I've had some dreams that have haunted me pretty horrifically, but But yeah, I hope sharing them with you guys helps a little bit. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps boost this channel in the algorithm. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.